Recently, I saw something in Miami that I will never forget. I was sitting hanging out with a group of people, and they were all talking, but I was sucked into what I was seeing, and I couldn't even hear what they were talking about. I saw two people that seemed like they didn't have much, but had a big smile on their face. And the guy, very skinny, very tall, his clothes were pretty dirty, and he had a huge backpack, and it seemed like that's where he had everything he owns and he has. And he was eating a little pack of chips. He came around to sit down with this other person, and offered that person some of those chips. With that big smile on his face. And I will never forget that. Because it made me think about how in the past I grew up in a place where the economy was really bad, and my family was struggling to do well financially. And I grew up seeing around me that scarcity mindset and that fear around money, that fear around not having enough. And I remember some of my uncles even talking about going to bed hungry and drinking an entire gallon of water before bed when they were young, so that it would mask the hunger. They wouldn't feel the hunger as much, and they could fall asleep and sleep through the night. And I grew up with those fears. I grew up with that point of view of the world of there's not enough for me. And the struggle and the financial stress of living that way, emotional, mental stress of being in those situations, and seeing that guy that didn't have much at all, who probably has less than you and I have, offering another person who also doesn't have much the little bit of food that he had, the small amount of nourishment that he had. And then I saw him leave and come back about 5 minutes later with those little trays where people carry their coffees when they get a bunch of cups. But he had water. So it seemed like, I can't tell, I don't know where he went. It seemed like he was one of those places where you can go and just ask for a cup of water and they won't charge you. So he was kind enough to not just get a cup for himself, but he came back with that little tray, sat down next to that person again, and gave him water. And that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's a reminder that we don't need much in order to be able to give. We don't need to have much in order to be able to share. And we can have an impact today on someone. You don't need to be a celebrity, you don't need to be a millionaire, you don't need to be a social media influencer. I saw those two people having a beautiful connection, smiling and laughing together, and being grateful for the little bit of stuff that they had. And it reminds me that sometimes we complain about things that we would feel silly complaining to those two people about our situation. It reminds me of the quote from Kahn that, same thing, I will never forget that quote. He said, a soul is nourished by what it gives, not by what it gets. And you don't need to give money. You don't always need to give material things. You can give of your time, give of your energy, give compliments. Share a smile with someone. And it will transform both of you. A smile is contagious. A compliment will go further than just the person that you give it to. Because they might be going through something really tough, and you might completely shift their day, their entire day. And that will have ripple effects on every single person they meet that day. So I invite you to today, see if you can give whatever you want to and decide to give to at least one person. And if someone in your life has inspired you in any way to give anything, what if you send them a little note, a little message, thanking them for the inspiration they've been in your life? Let's keep spreading this love and compassion and care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.